Welcome. I guess I should be on the camera a little bit. Welcome to the fourth seminar, third or fourth, whatever we're at. Today, we're going to talk about forming your committee and about writing your prospectus and whatever questions you have, whatever committee issues you're having. The biggest thing that I think I don't put out there enough is people worry about is whether they need to have their committee together and meet with their committee before the end of 3800, and I don't require that because, like I already told you, I just have one person in here today, but is that there's so many variables between the three committee members that you may have that I can only encourage you to do it, but I'm not going to penalize you if you're not able to. So can first go over this, and I'm going to go over, let's see, hopefully this is going to work. During where your participation is what you're going to talk about, what you learned from this seminar. I have several attachments. I'm first going to go over forming your committee. So I will open that up. Here we are. And this is just some things that I've learned in the 3 years I've been with BIS that's been helpful for students in forming their committees. They usually don't know where to start. You can ask current or former professors that you've had, one from each of your areas, ones that you feel you have a relationship with, that you have a good rapport with. If you're a strictly online student, that's the case for many students. You can go to a couple of these down. You can talk to the department secretary, and then they will know everybody's load, what they teach, which ones are too swamped to try, which ones they could that they could point you to. If they aren't available to ask ask if they could refer you to someone. The ones that you do have a rapport with, the ones that you would like to ask if those professors could refer you to someone else. BIS, we send them several documents explaining what a BIS capstone project is and what is expected of them. We send this to them after your prospectus meeting, but can send it to them sooner if they have questions beforehand of what is involved in being on a BIS committee. You can communicate with your committee early on in drafting your prospectus to get ideas and direction. You will get advice at your prospectus meeting, but if you're struggling how to execute your project to get results that you want, your committee members are great to be consulting with throughout the process of planning how to complete your project. Working with your committee, there will be several obstacles in communicating with the three busy professors. Allow ample time for your support paper and project to get revisions. Usually 2 or 3 revisions is what you can expect, and give them at least a week or two before those revisions. So in planning when you want to do your defense, you're going to have to give yourself a good month for revisions depending on how big your paper is, and especially if it's an end of a semester, you know, often you're not the priority unless they know they can anticipate that you, anyway, depends on the professors and what's going on in their life, but obviously that's a busy time, is the end of the semester. Make sure you're using the writing center so that you can your committee can help you with your content instead of the technicalities and the grammar and the flow. And during your prospectus meeting, you will decide with them what format they want the paper in, and it's going to depend on the personality of your committee, how rigid they will be to those standards of the committee or the format. I was just in a defense just an hour ago, and it wasn't quite APA, but we decided that the paper wasn't the project, but had it been like a primary or secondary research paper, it we may have been a lot more strict about it since the paper was the project, if that makes sense. This all goes back to how your committee is going to be grading you. I can give you the best guidelines right now, but in the end, they're ultimately going to be grading you. So that's where communication comes in. Whoops. So you make sure, let's see, turn your first draft into your committee chair, and that can be the one that naturally you're communicating with the most, so that they can catch any major revisions, and that just kind of saves the other two the time for everyone else to point out the major things. Turn the second revision into your entire committee and follow up to see if they received your materials. Give them at least 3 or 4 days if you don't hear from them. It's important for you to communicate with when you intend to hold your oral defense. If you hold to your schedule in submitting your project materials and support paper to your committee, it will hold for a stronger argument about your intentions to hold your defense when you want to. But again, give them ample time to help you to reach that goal. When you haven't heard from one of your committee members for a while, try alternate forms of communication, such as the phone or dropping in during their office hours. Try to make an appointment with them. Like we talk about in the success strategies, it's okay to communicate, although your nature may lead you to think that you're annoying them. Let's see. It says it letting me go down. Let me look at mine. So you'll think that you're being annoying, but that's the point of being the lead of any committee, is that you communicate amply, because you can never, someone's always going to communicate something. Your committee knows they are responsible to help you, and reminders and following up are needed and appreciated. Remember that time management, being organized, and regular communication are key to your successful completion and optimal project outcome. So I hope that answers some questions and helps a little bit. I know that it's hard to get a committee together. I've heard it all. Meeting, like I just said, meeting with your committee for your prospectus meeting by the end of this semester is not required for BIS3800, although it is strongly recommended to meet as soon as possible, just to help keep the ball rolling with your ideas and to get your feedback and communication with your committee, and so that, again, you can get started on your project, and then just to have the best possible start. And yeah, getting everyone on the same page is kind of hard, like you were saying. It's going to talk a little bit about the BIS capstone rubric. Have you looked at that on, it's on the very first, whoops, that's not it. No, that's not where I want to be. Okay, so this is what they're going to use when they grade you. And just because I have it in the Getting Started folder, I thought that it would be good to go through it. So the interdisciplinary work, your 3 committee members from each discipline are going to want to see that you were able to use each of their areas equally, and that you were able to create something from their disciplines. So you're synthesizing all the perspectives. And you can see on the rubric that you did it deeply with the multiple perspectives, or it just goes down from there for the score of a 3, that you were good, or that you were a minimum quality, or you lack depth. The capstone project experience and report is that you have a powerful capstone project, that you have a superior understanding. And again, it goes from superior to good to fair, minimum. I hate to read through what you can already see. I hope this gives you a better idea of kind of how you're going to be graded. So the capstone project, interdisciplinary, means that from the three perspectives, you're creating something new instead of something that's already done, or you're strengthening results of something that's already been done. The knowledge, skills, and research base. How much do you know to show that superior understanding? And the research and as supported in your report. And then the methods or creativity. What is it about your project that the methods and creativity that you're going to go about to obtain your objectives? So they kind of look at that. Your analysis and results, conclusions of your project. I was just in that oral defense, like I said, and it was it was a service learning one. And she had evaluated what a community wanted to learn more about for health promotion, but in her paper, she never had any analysis or conclusions about how effective this health fair was. And so she had made a survey, but she had never gotten any back, but she didn't say anything about it in her paper. So her results and conclusions were lacking. So that's something that, again, they will look at. And then the grammar, synthesis, or syntax and mechanics, that's where the writing center comes into play. They'll give you a 2 if they feel like they really had to write your paper for you and give you lots of ideas. You had no idea where to go from, And then a 4 is that you just needed a little bit of help here and there. And a 3 is that you're taking all their feedback and everything. But again, everyone's going to grade you differently, but that just kind of gives you an idea of the 6 areas that they look at. Let's see. I need to be back here. Sorry. Okay. Go to week 10. Okay, professional attributes. I look at this as well in your oral defense, and this is something that I fill out only if I feel like something is lacking from any one of you during 3800, just so that we can be on it for 4800 before you work with your committee. And it basically that you have an idea about your areas. You have the intellectual and practical skills, ethical and social responsibility. It's mainly the collegiality and responsibility, that you are respectful and get along with everybody, and that inviting professors to be on your committee isn't going to be an issue, that everyone's going to get along, and if not, we just, have a talking to you and figure out what we can do. And hopefully, professors are nice to you too, but I guess we go other avenues if they're not. Let's see. And then I was going to talk about, this is a Forbes article that other students have liked. And what I like about it, it's called The Most Successful Leaders Do 15 Things Automatically Every Day. And just in talking about how being over your committee is I'm sure plenty of you have had leadership experiences, but it really is leadership for you to be over your professors, even though they're there as mentors, that you need to have be a self-starter kind of. You need to be comfortable in making decisions, and let them know, of course, that you're humble and you want their feedback. Communicate your expectations, what you need from them, and what they can expect from you. Challenging them to think, I mean, obviously I have to apply this to being a student over a committee, but I think what I like about this article is that it can apply to you later in your career as you guys become leaders in, I'm talking like it's plural, I just have one student here, but as you become a leader in your professions, that you can apply this. Again, being accountable to others as you communicate expectations of them, and then you can tell them what they can expect of you. Lead by example. If you expect for them to help you with revisions, you need to meet your timeline deadlines as well. And then expect continuous feedback, and that means that you're trying to ask them questions. Obviously, ask questions, seek counsel, problem solve, avoid procrastination, and that's a huge one in writing your prospectus, is holding to your timeline. And things will change, life happens, but as long as you communicate with your committee, then you can all be on the same page, instead of they say, well, I was on this committee, but I have no idea what happened to the student. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that was a legitimate excuse that, you know, someone died or whatever, or you were in the hospital, but they didn't know that, you know. Having a positive energy and attitude, I think that goes without saying, that would give you a much better letter of recommendation at the end of this if you use your committee members as letters of recommendation, is if you have passion and positive energy about what you're doing, just makes for a better letter for them to write for you. Invest in the relationships, again, not only for the good letter, but I think it makes the process more enjoyable, and you're just able to be mentored that much better, as if you actually care about the relationship. And then this goes back to enjoying your responsibilities. It goes, I think, with the positive energy and attitude. I'm just plowing through this. Do you have any?
Some of the questions I have are like, when we take, from my understanding, we take the 4800 our last semester, correct?
You can take it more than one semester, the 4800. It's usually usually 2 semesters. So when do you plan on graduating?
It's either next December or next, okay, sorry, finish. So and then December after.
So 16?
Mm-hmm.
It is possible to finish your project before you're done with your classes. I've been asked that question before. So it doesn't have to be your last semester.
Are you required to take 4800 right after 3800, or can you have space?
You can wait. You can wait, but it turns into an E after a year, but they just do a grade change once you complete it. Because it's an incomplete for 2 semesters, and then an E after that until you get a grade change.
Okay. And then, so I've approached professors. I have 2 of my committee members selected for my German and my anthropology. But my German professor, when I go to her about my topics, she says, I don't know anything about that. So and then I don't know really what to say to her after that. Like, well, you can learn. Like, do I encourage her to just do that, or
Is it because of the spin of what you have that she doesn't feel comfortable?
She has no aspect of music knowledge base for her, for how to tie this in.
Oh, but she's very familiar with the German culture.
She is, but she doesn't. She says she has no like expertise on.
She doesn't have to.
My particular. Okay, so she doesn't have to.
No, as long as she knows the German, and she can, she's helping with the German part. I mean, you're the one that's integrating. I would hope that the professors would be able to integrate as well, because that's what I think is enriching for them to be on the committee, is to see the other perspectives of the two other committee members. But she doesn't have to be in the know about the music, because that's why you have the music person to analyze the music influence during World War II, like one of your thesis questions were. But she's primarily there to give you advice about the German area.
Okay.
So, I mean, if she just doesn't want to be on your committee, that's one thing. But if she thinks she needs to be an expert for the other, it's not necessary.
Okay. Yeah. There are only two choices for me for my German committee member, and the other one is not very interested in doing a committee. So I feel like I'm only able to work with her, but I keep changing what I want to do based on her saying, but I don't know anything on that. So I keep then trying to go back and find something else, but I'm limited with my 3 areas.
Right.
So I can't cut out one area just to satisfy her.
Right. Well,
so
it's going to involve
sure
music.
How to continue
it has
that
to.
Conversation. Right.
So, I mean, get back with me, but I mean.
Well, you're saying that you give out documents to them about what is expected in a BIS. So maybe that would push that forward so she understands more of what is expected of her.
Yeah, just call the office and Beth can email her.
Okay.
But I mean, it's mainly that they need to meet with you twice, the prospectus meeting and the oral defense, and then holding to your timeline, and you tell them whatever help that you're going to be needing. Because I mean, I've had someone that he had multimedia music and communications, and he's doing a video for the band, and he's going to be working with the music a lot more than communications, because the music, the band leader is going to want to have the, whatever he wants in the video, so he's going to be expecting to work with that committee member a lot more than the communications, if that makes sense. So it might be that you don't work with the German professor as much but you might during different aspects of your timeline, if that makes sense, different times of your project.
So it's a secondary research, because I used to be creative, but now I'm secondary research. It's simply just the requirements for that particular capstone project. Like it just has to fit all 3 integrate, showing how they integrate, and then okay.
Yeah, so you're just going to be analyzing articles and books that's already been written, but bringing it all together and bringing your own analysis and conclusions.
Okay.
I mean, that's what you're planning on, because that's usually what the secondary. It's like a lit review or.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that might help her feel better that she doesn't need to know about the music, and because I mean, especially if it was like primary research, that might be a little bit more daunting, but still, she wouldn't have to be the expert for the music part. And what's your 3rd area? Is it sociology?
No, it's anthropology.
Oh, it's anthropology. That's right. So now let's look at the grading rubric for writing your prospectus. This is how I grade you. So for this week, this last week we did our thesis questions, and I'll show you an example in just a minute. But so you'll have your name and that it's your prospectus, but I want at the top your thesis question. So your first paragraph will be your project description, just explaining what you're going to do, any background information that led you to want to do the topic, the significance, why is this a significant project, so why are you doing? So what are you doing, and then why are you doing it? And really, if you add these as the headings, it makes it a lot easier for me to read it and everyone else. I think I've been open to people writing it different ways, but I think this is it just makes it clearer. So how are you going to add to your knowledge bases and not just repeat what's already been done? Be sure to provide a clear description of how each of your 3 areas of emphasis will be integrated into your topic or into your project. So usually for you it'll be anthropology, German, and music, and then you tell me how it's going to tie into your topic. And this is where I'd like you to say like what theories you're thinking you want to integrate into the topic. So for anthropology, what would you, or for German, like what era in history or what part of their culture is it you're looking at? And it doesn't have to be super specific, but I think that the more specific you can be, the better idea it can give your committee, and they can give you further feedback of what else you could add into there, maybe something you haven't thought about. Your project plan, and this is going to be your longest section. This is where you're going to have your timeline. So how you're going to achieve your goals. This will be your longest section. These are going to be all your steps you're going to take to complete your project. I like you to put, it doesn't have to be specific dates, but you can say first part of February until the end of March, I'm going to be writing my paper, I'm going to be looking for my resources, I will be working with the librarians in my 3 areas to get the best possible sources. And at the end, as you'll see in a minute, I have you, for week 11, you're going to be looking up an article from each area that relate to your project, and that's exactly what you can put at the end of the paper, the prospectus, if it still pertains to your project. But again, your timeline is going to be kind of your written contract, unless things change and you communicate with your committee of how you're going to get things done. And I think that's what helps you to not procrastinate until the end, and it helps you to know when you can expect to be done, and really helps your committee to know when and how they're going to help you. And I think it maximizes the mentoring relationship for them to know that timeline. The final product, you'll say in your case that it's going to be a 25 to 30 page research paper, secondary research paper, with how many references. You'll have to look up in the text. It's usually for the secondary, 7 to 9 from each discipline. If it's primary research, it's 5 to 7, and for service learning and creative project, there are 2 to 3 references per area. So you're looking at usually 6 to 7 for the creative and service, and then 7 to 9 for the secondary. So you need to clearly tell me how many pages it'll be, how many references you'll use. Some people, if it's a creative project, they'll say it's a play or a pamphlet or a website. Service learning, it might be a portfolio, pictures and appendices, lesson plans, just any and every product that is going to come from your research. If it's primary research, you could even provide like an audit trail, the creative learning and the service learning, the creative project and the service learning. A lot of times they'll have you do a journal kind of things that you've learned and things that you did on all the different days. Contracts that you'll have with the service, the community engagement center. I know I have that wrong. The community and continuing education engagement center. Anyway, it used to be a service. Anyway, they changed the name, and I cannot think right now. So anyway, be specific, and I will also grade you on your grammar and formatting, punctuation, spelling. Please just proofread yourself, because I don't want you to give this to your professors and see that it looks like a mess and then think, I'm going to have to grade a huge paper from this person. They didn't even proofread a 3-page document. And so I just want it to look polished. So this is what I use to grade you. And then here's a sample paper. And you also have one in your 3800 text, the PDF that you have. So let's see. I have a better one in the text. This one's good, but she doesn't have her thesis question. But I like how clear she is. She tells you what it is she's going to be doing, what type of project, the creative project. She's going to be putting together a junior golf camp, and who she's been talking to, why she wants to do it, kind of some of her future career plans and how it's going to tie into her project. So her 3 areas of study: early childhood education, recreation, cell service, and technology. So this is what she was going to do to tie those areas. Her step-by-step plan. She has when she wanted to be done. She's been communicating with the golf course, what she's already been doing. She doesn't know the exact date of the camp yet, but she wanted to do it during July. She wanted to have her pamphlet done by June 1st and distributed by the 8th. Let's see. She told her committee that she'll send her a copy of her pamphlet by August 31st. And really, she should have shown them a copy before she distributed it, just so you know. When she was going to have her website up and running, which maybe she could have said when she was going to be working on the website. Then she wants to have her support paper by the 31st of November, and then use the Stewart Library to get all of her resources, who she was going to get help with, and then here's her thesis question right here. And then her final product. And then what I require now is right after that, you just say references and then 3 references, 1 from each area, which you'll submit for week 11. Do you want me to look up the other one, the better? Let's see. Textbook. Isn't it so cool you didn't have to buy a textbook? Download, yes. So is that clear how I'm going to be grading you? And I want to make it clear, I think I put it in the announcement, that the reason why I have it due so early in the semester, week 11, even though it's like your main thing that you get graded on in this class, besides the resume, is that I want to help you. I want to not just say, well, sorry, you missed this, and this. This is unclear, and good luck. Go work with your committee. I want to refine it and really give you a clear vision so that you're ready to meet with your committee and to give us time to do that. Well, this is taking a while. Anyway, look it up. I think it's chapter 11. You'll be able to find it. Let's see. So anyway, the professional attributes, not a lot of people have troubles with that. Just be the good, sweet students that you are. And, you know, polite, collegial. And there's me. I feel like I just kind of rushed through everything. Can you think of any other questions? I guess, I mean, we totally have time to look this up.
So just now that we sort of have a general idea now of what our thesis statements, research questions are, then we just start writing our prospectus, going into the writing lab, having them sign off on it, submitting this to you.
So you'll go to the writing center and you can do it online or in person. If you do it in person, just take a picture of a brown sheet that they fill out.
Okay.
And then just send it to me.
Okay.
I was having the tutor email me. Anyway, it was a mess. So just send me a picture that, yeah, that they worked with you, and then, or forward on their comments that they give to you if you submit it online.
And is there a requirement for the page and for this prospectus?
No, I mean, it's usually 3 pages. I've seen it, I mean, only once, 9, but it's usually 4. But
I write a lot.
Yeah, well, and sometimes there's a lot of background to it, you know. But people stress about it. As long as you have an idea of what it is you want to do, you have most of it written. The timeline might be kind of where you need help. If you have a clear idea of what you want to do, you're probably going to add to what it is you're going to add from each area. But that can, you know, if you have a general idea, it doesn't have to be exact at this point. I don't know if this is going to happen. Oh, here we go. See, writing your prospectus. Oh, page 112. I could see page numbers, that would be really helpful. Do you see any?
It's on the very bottom, that blue tab.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm not making you dizzy. Making myself a little dizzy. Oh, I got a lot more. Oh, this is all screwed up. Oh, this doesn't look like. Okay, so it's 112. Okay. I apologize, I haven't read this for a couple months or more. Well, gosh, so anyway, just from that example, for sure have a thesis question and then your references at the end. But again, I'm going to work with you, and that's the reason why I have it due so early, week 11 instead of like 14, is that I want it to be ready for your committee.
And then you had written in there about seeing our committee member over the Christmas break. If possible. Is
Yeah.
that something that's required?
No, it's not required. I recommend that you meet with your committee just as soon as you can so that you can get started. That's what I would want to do, is to meet before the break so that you can have the break to start doing your research and doing what you can to get started on your project, instead of getting slammed the first part of spring semester and like trying to fit getting your project started. Just between Christmas break and summer, I always recommend meeting before then so that that time isn't just wasted, but that you can meet with them to get started on your project and to get feedback to get an optimal start on your project. Does that make sense? Because I'm not going to be grading you anymore after 3800. I'm just giving you the best pointers to get started, and again, how you're going to be graded is going to be your committee, but showing you that capstone grading rubric, that's what they use to grade it. So that's something you can refer back to, but getting a feel for it from them. The revisions that they give you and the feedback that they give you, that gives you an idea of how much more work you need to do to satisfy them to get an A. If that makes sense, generally. So.
And just to clarify one more time, like I can take 4800 multiple times until I graduate, right?
Yeah, you can take it more. It's going to take more than one semester usually, and you pay for it only once.
Okay.
So, and I know that I've been getting emails like, I really don't know what I'm doing, and hopefully everyone has an idea of what you're doing, and then I can work with you if your prospectus isn't clear enough and it needs to be narrowed down. If certain steps haven't been thought of in completing every part of your project, I'll just work with you. So you don't have to tell me who you have for your committee or anything, but I can, through 4800, between Dr. Sina and I, we will help you with obstacles that you have and working with your committee, etc. or ideas or obstacles you have about the project itself. So.
And then when we go to defend our capstone project, it's just the three of us in the room, or are you and Dr. Sina in there as well?
I fill in forms sometimes, and it's usually Dr. Sina, and then the 3 committee members and you. And you talk for 5 or 10 minutes about what you learned, because your committee members are familiar with your project already. So what you learned and kind of what you're going to do after you graduate, you can kind of, and how this project may have helped you. Then they ask you questions for 20 or 30 minutes, and that's the part that I think scares students, but it's usually about your paper and about the project, things that you're familiar with, especially having done that project and doing all those hours. And then you go out while the committee goes over that rubric that we just went through, those 6 indicators. And then you come back in, and Dr. Sina or I will tell you your grade and just whatever feedback and then you're done, and then we enter in a grade change for 4800, and you're done.
And so if you still, at that point, you either have more classes to finish or you're done, but when it comes to graduation, then you're just giving your BIS, correct? Like, so you're done.
Yeah, well, plenty of people, like, say you want to graduate in the spring, but you haven't defended yet, you can still walk, and then say it's not till July that you actually defend. Then your degree is finally complete, and then it goes, I think, through the graduation office and stuff.
Okay.
But then, yeah, once you finish 4800, you still have to complete your areas of emphasis for everything to be complete, and then you can graduate, and then you'll be done.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it is okay if you finish before you finish the rest of your classes, but I would recommend that you have most of your classes done from each of your areas so that you know that you are incorporating everything you can from those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of after the fact, you're done with your project, but you take a class and you're like, I wish I knew this because I could have used it in my project somehow.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So. Okay, so.
Seems overwhelming, but it's not. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
organization.
it's as long as you're organized and you keep to your schedule, it shouldn't be. And if you work a little bit every day on it, it's going to have the quality and less stress. I always, you go to, I mean, maybe you've pulled all-nighters writing papers. I never did. It's not to say that I didn't ever procrastinate, but who can stay up all night if you don't,
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So, between the support you have with BIS and your committee and the library, I mean, you have so many resources on this campus, and other students that maybe are interested in the same topic as you. I mean, and in working with the community, if you're helping them out, like you're not alone. So,
Okay.
you are not alone. Anyway, but I'm just an email away, and I am happy to meet with you by appointment or to do FaceTime or Skype, whichever you want, and we'll just get it all ready to go for your committee. So, okay, so we're done in almost record time, but I'm sure that'll make everyone happy.